There will be moments in your life when no applause follows your effort, no one will cheer, no one will ask how you're doing. In those silent moments, you will realize the truth. Nobody truly cares like you care. Not because people are cruel, but because this path is yours alone to walk. If you're waiting for validation, you'll be waiting forever. Do it not to be seen, do it to become. This is not for them, this is for you. This video is a deep reminder that self-mastery is personal. Nobody cares, do it for you, reveals the power of intrinsic purpose, silent discipline, and walking your path alone. There is a kind of silence that is not empty. It is filled with the weight of your own presence, no noise to distract you, no voices to soothe or praise you. In that space, your mind stops reaching outward, it turns inward. That is when you begin to truly see what you are, who you are, and what you've avoided seeing for far too long. Discipline leads you to this silence. When you remove the noise, the excuses, the complaints, the external drama, you are left with only the repetition of effort, again and again and again, no audience. Just breathe, just motion. In that routine, something awakens, or perhaps something is exposed. We often use distraction as a shield. We surround ourselves with movement, attention, and approval, so we never have to confront the reality of our undisciplined nature. But when discipline strips away the unnecessary, when it reduces life to simple practice, the mask begins to fall. You cannot lie to yourself in silence. The mirror doesn't judge you, it reflects. In silence, the mirror becomes sharper. The reflection becomes clearer. You begin to notice patterns, the way you avoid discomfort, the stories you tell yourself to escape responsibility, the habits that quietly destroy your potential. You see them not with anger, but with honesty. This honesty is uncomfortable. That's why most people run from it. They turn up the volume, they stay busy, they perform instead of practice. But silence does not entertain. It demands presence, and presence brings confrontation, not with the world, but with the part of you that still seeks escape. This confrontation is not loud, it is subtle. A question arises in your stillness. Are you who you pretend to be? The answer does not come in words. It comes in whether you continue the work when no one is watching. In whether you hold the form, breathe with intention, and choose the harder path without being seen. Every moment of true growth begins in silence. Every breakthrough starts when the ego is quiet and the discipline speaks. In this mirror, you do not find glory. You find responsibility, and with it, the understanding that nothing external can shape you more deeply than this silent internal practice. The silence is not a punishment. It is a gateway. It separates those who perform from those who transform. Most will leave it too soon. Only a few will remain long enough to discover what lies on the other side of themselves. There is a hunger in many, deep, invisible, and loud. It whispers, did they see me? Did they like it? Do they approve? This hunger is not for food nor for truth. It is the hunger for recognition, and once fed, it grows more greedy. It demands to be seen, to be liked, to be affirmed. But this hunger, left unchecked, will lead you far from who you really are. When your actions are dictated by how others will respond, you are no longer walking your own path. You are navigating a maze built by their expectations. One turn to impress, another to avoid judgment, and all the while the destination becomes blurrier. Slowly you forget why you began. You forget what was true before anyone was watching. External validation gives a temporary high, but it empties you over time. Every applause fades. Every compliment becomes yesterday's noise. If your strength comes only from outside, then when the noise stops, so will you, and it always stops. The world is not watching as closely as your mind believes it is. This is the trap. You move not to master something, but to be seen doing it. You train not to improve, but to perform progress. You speak not to express truth, but to gain favor, and eventually the truth inside you becomes weak, starved, forgotten, replaced by approval from a world that never truly understood your journey to begin with. Freedom begins when you stop needing recognition, when you create, move, and rise, not because someone is looking, but because something inside you is calling. This shift changes everything. You begin to act from intention, not reaction, from alignment, not anxiety. You are no longer chasing light. You become the source of it, but it is not easy. The world teaches you to measure worth in likes, followers, praise, and attention. It tells you louder means better, faster means greater, seen means successful. And so, walking away from this illusion takes courage. It takes solitude. It takes stillness, enough to hear your own voice again. That voice is quiet at first, fragile, unsure, but it grows stronger the more you honor it. Every time you act from inner clarity rather than external pressure, you build something unshakable. You begin to remember what is essential. And what is essential can never be given to you by others. It must be claimed from within. When you stop needing applause, you start finding peace. You begin to live in truth, not performance. And in that space, you discover a rare kind of power, the kind that does not demand attention, but draws it naturally, like gravity, not because you seek it, but because you no longer need it. Discipline is not a punishment. It is a form of deep self-honoring. Each time you rise early, train with focus, practice with care, you are making a quiet declaration to the world. I am worth the effort. This is not about perfection. It is about presence. It is about showing up for your own evolution again and again, whether you feel like it or not. Many speak of self-love as comfort, softness, rest, but self-respect often looks different. It looks like sweat on the floor, pain in the muscles, silence in the breath. It is the decision to move when your mind says wait, to continue when your body says stop, not recklessly, but with clarity. Because discipline is not force, it is alignment. When you honor your word to yourself, something changes. Slowly, your inner world becomes organized. The conflict between thought and action dissolves. You begin to trust yourself, not because you always succeed, but because you always return. You become your own witness, your own guardian, your own mirror. There is a subtle power in consistency. It builds more than results. It builds identity. You no longer just do the practice. You are the practice. The person who said, I will rise early, becomes the one who does. The one who promised progress becomes the one who earns it. And in this quiet repetition, a deeper self begins to emerge. This is not about doing more. It is about doing with more integrity, with more honesty. Each rep, each step, each breath becomes a statement. I refuse to abandon myself. And that refusal, carried out daily, is what separates the lost from the disciplined, the dreamer from the doer. Some days it will feel empty, no progress will show, no joy will rise, but even in those moments, discipline is working. It is shaping your character, refining your mind, and grounding your path. The reward is not immediate. But the impact is permanent. Discipline does not need to be loud. It does not need to be shared. It lives in the unseen hours, the early morning, the late night, the quiet moments when quitting would be easier. And yet you remain, you stay, you breathe, you continue, not because it is easy, but because you respect the life that is trying to emerge through you, and that life, your highest self, will only arrive if you make space for it. Discipline is that space. It is the foundation upon which strength, peace, and purpose are built. Without it, you are only potential. With it, you are transformation in motion. You are walking a path that was revealed only to you. Others may see fragments of it, pieces of your effort, moments of your change, but they cannot feel what you feel. They don't hear the silent call that wakes you early. They don't see the weight you carry in your thoughts. They were not meant to. This path is yours alone, and with it comes a truth few want to accept. Not everyone will understand you, and that is okay. When you begin to move differently, training harder, living more intentionally, removing distractions, people will question you. They may laugh, they may judge, they may say, "You've changed," but what they're really saying is, "You no longer reflect my comfort zone." Their misunderstanding is not your responsibility to fix. Their doubt is not yours to carry. Often, the deeper you go into your own transformation, the more isolated you may feel. This is not failure. It is a sign that you are stepping out of the familiar, the old identities, roles, and relationships that once fit you no longer hold. You are growing, you are moving towards something they cannot yet see. Silence becomes your companion, not loneliness. In solitude, clarity arrives. You begin to see why not everyone can walk with you. Some people were meant to meet you at the beginning, not the destination. Some were only passing through. To keep them would be to hold yourself back. Letting go is not rejection. It is realignment, and every step forward demands it. You will be tempted to explain yourself, to justify your pace, your focus, your discipline. But truth does not need defense. The seed does not explain to the soil why it breaks open. It just grows. In the same way, you owe no one your reasoning. You owe only yourself your full commitment to the path. Understanding is rare. Most people are too busy projecting their own fears to recognize your purpose. They cannot see the long nights you endure, the inner battles you fight, the temptations you resist. They only see results, and often they judge even those. So stop waiting for their approval. It will not come, not in the form you seek. You were not born to be understood. You were born to be aligned, to live in accordance with your inner compass, even when others doubt your direction. True purpose is not democratic. It does not need a vote. It needs only your discipline, your patience, and your willingness to walk alone. The sooner you stop explaining and start embodying, the lighter your steps become. The burden of being seen is replaced by the clarity of being true, and in time, your life will speak louder than any explanation ever could. The mind has a tendency to look sideways. It glances at others and begins to question, "Am I enough? Am I behind? Am I doing it right?" In that glance, something is lost. The connection to your own journey fades. The present moment, your only real ground for change, becomes polluted by stories that don't belong to you. Comparison is subtle. It often disguises itself as motivation. You look at someone further ahead and tell yourself it's inspiration. But soon, admiration turns into doubt. What was once fuel becomes a chain. You begin to move not from clarity, but from pressure. You rush, you force, you try to catch up to a race that isn't yours. No two lives are the same. No two lessons arrive in the same season. The pace of your growth is not slow. It is yours. There is no behind or ahead. There is only alignment or distraction. And when you compare, you abandon alignment. You stop listening to what your body, your spirit, your discipline is asking of you. Presence is not just stillness. It is connection, to breathe, to action, to the reality of this moment. It is the space where refinement happens. When you're present, you notice the small things, the tension in your form, the rhythm of your breath, the truth in your choices. Growth begins here, not in fantasy, not in projection, but here. But when your mind is elsewhere, imagining someone else's success, resenting your own struggle, you are no longer training, you are performing in your mind, lost in an illusion, and every moment spent, there is a moment taken from your own transformation. You don't need to know what anyone else is doing. Their process is irrelevant to yours. Their applause, their pace, their appearance, none of it brings you closer to mastery. In fact, it often pulls you further away. It clouds your focus. It seeds frustration. It makes you doubt your own process. Real power comes when you return to yourself, when you put your eyes back where they belong, on your breath, on your discipline, on your truth. This is not selfish. It is sacred. It is a reclaiming of your energy, your time, your intention. You stop measuring and start moving. You stop comparing and start becoming. The path sharpens when you are present. In this space, the noise fades, the distractions dissolve, and all that remains is what matters. Your practice, your progress, your purpose, unfolding breath by breath. The mistake most people make is waiting. Waiting for the right mood, waiting for inspiration, waiting to feel ready. But waiting is a quiet form of resistance. It disguises fear as patience, and slowly it steals your time, your energy, and your strength. The truth is simple. You do not need motivation to move. You need movement to find motivation. Motion is honest. It cuts through confusion. When you begin, without feeling ready, without knowing fully how, you open a space for clarity to emerge. It rarely arrives before, it comes during, it comes in the sweat, in the stillness, in the repetition of discipline. Movement aligns the mind and body in a way that thought alone never can. Too often we confuse thought for progress. We plan, we visualize, we reflect, but thought without action is only noise. It becomes a loop, an endless preparation that never leads to transformation. The body knows what the mind resists. Action grounds you. It brings your intentions into the real world, where they can be tested, refined, and made true. You must begin before you are comfortable. The beginning is never smooth. The first step always feels too early. But it is this step, taken in doubt, in fatigue, in fear, that carries the most power. It is a declaration to yourself. I will not be controlled by hesitation. You break the inertia. You create momentum where none existed. Small movement matters. One breath with focus, one repetition with intention, one page, one word, 1 minute fully present. These are not insignificant. They are the foundation. They teach your mind that motion is available, even when motivation is absent. That your body can carry you through the moments your mind tries to escape. As you move, motivation may come, or it may not, but by then it won't matter, because discipline will have already taken root. You will have proven to yourself that action is a choice, not a mood. You are no longer at the mercy of feeling. You are guided by purpose, and purpose does not wait. It acts quietly, consistently. Even in darkness it moves. It doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to feel good. It just needs to be real. The rhythm of motion is where identity is built, and from identity comes resilience. There will be days when you feel nothing. No drive, no spark, no reason. Move anyway. On those days, the movement itself is the reason. You are not trying to arrive somewhere. You are trying to remember who you are beneath the noise, and only action, quiet, disciplined action, will ever lead you back. There comes a moment when you realize that nothing external will ever be enough. No recognition, no title, no possession can replace the quiet knowing that you are becoming who you were meant to be. This is not a journey of display. It is not for the world to admire. It is a path carved in silence, by sweat, by breath, by effort known only to you. The warrior within does not crave attention. It craves alignment. It does not seek reward. It seeks refinement. Every time you train when it's uncomfortable, every time you choose focus over distraction, every time you reject the easier path, you are feeding this warrior, not to conquer others, but to conquer the self that wants to remain unchanged. The real battle is not against the world. It is against your own doubt, your laziness, your comfort, your fear. These are not enemies to destroy. They are thresholds to cross. Each time you rise above them, something in you strengthens. Something ancient, something sacred, not for show, not for praise, but because you owe it to your own becoming. You were not sent here to live easy. You were sent here to sharpen, to rise, to carry the weight of discipline and emerge with clarity. Every repetition, every sacrifice, every quiet victory is not proof to others. it is fuel for the soul. The world may never see it. That does not make it any less real. This path is sacred because it is unseen. It teaches you to act without reward, to keep moving without applause, to be faithful to your craft, even when no one notices, especially when no one notices. That's when the real shaping happens. That's when the warrior is formed, not by light, but by fire. You will be tempted to prove yourself, to show your strength, to let the world know how far you've come. Resist the urge. Let your energy go into your becoming, not your broadcasting. True power is silent. True discipline is invisible. Let your presence speak what words never can. Your practice is not performance, it is prayer. It is not meant to impress, it is meant to transform. In each breath, in each movement, you are choosing evolution over ease, growth over comfort, truth over image, and these choices, repeated daily, build something unshakable. One day, you will stand in the stillness of your own strength, and no one will need to understand. Because by then, you won't need them to. You will have become what you are chasing, not because the world pushed you, but because the warrior within never stopped walking.